Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I want to get it in my head in regards to the Lakers that the players that we're going after that we should add to our situation probably should not be stars. They don't have to be Chiefs. Excuse me as I wipe my phone off, so it'll be a little clearer if it can be. But they don't have to be Chiefs. We already have Anthony Davis and LeBron James, arguably the two best players in the entire world, given the fact that we're watching them literally be that in the Team USA basketball, like carrying Team USA basketball. If I can just be so honest, and it looks like it's so long as nothing weird happens with injuries, they're gonna be ready to contend. What they don't necessarily need is another chief in place, but more so role players. As I've always, harken back to 2020 championship, what we had was role players, not stars. And one of the things that I don't think I do the greatest job of is articulating that targeting role players with flaws is not something to shun. I think I do a bad job of articulating that because a lot of times when I'm judging players that we're going after, I'm saying, okay, price versus production. But the reality is I don't need them to be Wembanyama. I just need them to be as good as a role player is, like a Cam Johnson or, somebody of that ilk. Do I want higher level talent to help my team? If I can get stars, yes. But once I start talking about bringing guys in, it's usually about the price tag and how I don't think their production is worth that price tag. But that doesn't mean I need guys to be so very aggressive on their own to where they're trying to vie for positioning with superstar talent that's already in place. We have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. One of the reasons why I don't think that Trae Young would be the best player for us is because he fits that ilk. He is not a role player. And if we bring him in to do anything for us, it would likely be to slip in as our number 3 to play a role. He's not a role player. He's an alpha guy. He's a guy who likely wants to take 25 shots if it comes to that. Wants the ball in his hands at the end of the game. Probably best if he is considered number 1 or number 2. Definitely not a number 3. And so that's why I've been like, all right, let me kind of make a video like this trying to tell people, like, I don't think the Lakers need another star. If they bring in another star, I don't think that star would be as pleased with the role that he would be given unless he's wired a certain way. And I don't think many stars that we would value as stars would be happy with that role. So that's something I just wanted to say. I just don't think I've done the greatest job of really pointing that out, because usually the guys we're targeting, they have flaws, as all role players do. Something that they can't do very well, or something that makes it so that the price tag of them having 2 picks attached to their names is probably too much. I talked about how I didn't want Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson at 2 picks, 1 apiece, I guess. But that doesn't mean that who they are wouldn't fit in with what we are and do good things. And I don't think I've done a good job of really saying that at all. So that's what I wanted to say. I think those guys would be good on our team if we can get them for prices we would appreciate. And guys of that ilk, they don't have to be stars to fit in. In fact, if anything, we probably want them to be more so like these guys, and less like Trae Young in some cases. So that's really the thought, man. I think the Lakers are doing a good job right now of still being patient, although most people would deem that a terrible job, and that would be lazy or not taking advantage of what may be possible because we don't want to give up our picks and stingy and all that. But at the end of the day, if you know what the Lakers have and you know what the Lakers, market looks like, coupled with the fact that there are going to be some things that the Lakers are likely going to want to do later on. If they do the wrong thing right now, won't be able to get done. Probably isn't the right move for them to really be making moves, regardless of what people are talking about right now. And I think most of Laker Nation's kind of settled into the idea that they don't expect anything to happen. Summer League is now over. I don't know if that's going to change some things in regards to what we believe those young players may be able to do. I think we have enough data to know that a couple of guys are not ready, and that could potentially kind of force us into trying to improve the team a little bit around the margins, if at all possible. But if it ain't possible, we got to work with what we got. Now, I do think that some of the guys who haven't been given opportunities, that that is really why they look so underdeveloped in the summer league. You look at a guy like Max Lewis, for example, didn't look his best. Max Christie, I just don't think is going to have the type of year that I think most of Laker Nation hopes he's going to have, because he didn't get the development opportunity last year. So he's going to bump his head a little bit in some ways. It's going to frustrate some people, I think. I really think that. And this is frustrating because for me, I don't think that necessarily had to be in place. If it's going to play out that way, it didn't have to, because at the end of the day, we could have really played him more. We could have done more with the young fellas that we had. Obviously, Jalen Hood-Schifino, his development is going to be very slow. Partially because he was a one-year guy in college at like 20 years old right now. And the other part is because he didn't get developed last year because of injuries and coaching, which worked together to make it so that basically this would be his rookie season, to be completely honest with everybody. And so he's a year behind, just like Max Lewis is. Even though Max Lewis played in the G League, doesn't look like he really developed as well as we needed him to really be an impact player for us. Obviously, Bronny James, we saw some good, we saw some very bad. And so it's, you know, the idea that he's going to come in and be a role player for us he's not ready for that as of yet, I don't believe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, as I've been saying about these Lakers for a while now, they're relying upon players who are not quite ready for the roles that they're asking them to play. And because we don't have the ability to make moves to improve, some of these guys that are not ready are still going to be playing higher level roles. Now, a guy like Rui Hachimura, he's having a good show in the Olympic tournament right now, pre-tournament rather, scoring the ball a lot for his team, Japan, and hopefully he can step in and play well for us next year and be healthy. But he's still developing, believe it or not. Some of these guys that have been on our team, Austin Reeves, he was a 4-year guy when we drafted him, but his development is going as it should. He's not quite turned into the player that we hoped he would as of yet, but I think the upside is still in place. You know, Dalton Connect's probably going to have a very good role this year, especially with the exodus of Taurean Prince. So it's like you're expecting guys who are not ready. Max Christie, obviously, Prince out. Max gets more minutes as well. You're going to need those guys to play outside of their body in order for you to really have this type of season role player-wise that you need around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And I just don't know that we have the time for that. To be honest with you, we're going to have to make the time, I guess, because there's no trade to be made. But I think we're getting to a point where we have a bunch of young guys who may not have a high enough upside for us to be waiting on them now to develop to who they're going to become. That's what I'm wondering about. I'm not certain of that, but I'm starting to think it. Like, okay, we got this young guy, this guy, yeah, it's like 5 of them, 6 of them. Are their ceilings actually what would make it so that any of this is worth it? Or do you package a couple of them dudes for your Cam Johnson, for your Dorian Finney-Smith, for your role player that for certain is going to be able to help you at a role? My thing is, and this is where I say I don't do the greatest job, I really don't believe in role players like that as much as maybe some do. I think that could potentially be lateral when you start going down the path of some of them role players having bad habits, injury issues that have lingered on. I think for every 2 of those guys, every 5 of those guys you get, maybe 3 of them turn out to be duds. So does it really translate into me being better for moving on from guys who may be younger with lesser wear and tear on them, but maybe don't have the upside or maybe can't help me as well while they're growing through their growing pains? That's what I come into a space where I'm not really sure what the proper way to handle that would be. I guess I need to see how this year plays out versus maybe making a decision like that and seeing how it plays out. Because you get the wrong 10-year vet and you're stuck with them. Because you can't move them in the market. At least with these young guys, though they may not be as good as they're going to be tomorrow, and they're going to hurt you while they're trying to go through that process, you at least see them gradually getting better, and sometimes they can make big jumps in short amount of time. You have one summer and a guy goes from not looking good to being an all-star. You're like, how the hell? With a guy like PJ Tucker, you're not going to see that. That's not going to happen. Maybe he comes in, plays well. Maybe he has a renaissance year like a Nicholas Batum or something like that. But like I said, for every 5 of those guys, 3 of them probably ain't going to be all that great. So that's my problem with going into the let's find role players that's been around for a while for experience theory. I don't have a great mind's eye for their success. In my mind, in my Rolodex, they're gonna usually suck, man. But that doesn't mean that the young players that you have aren't gonna suck too. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. They could suck too, especially when you have too many of them relying upon one another. And with a rookie coach, that could compound the problem. So I just have to be honest about that. When Max Lewis, or not Max Lewis, he'd probably be in the G League, but when Max Christie, Dalton Knecht, and say whoever the third guy would be, Rui Hachimura, just by example, all have a bad game at once, we're going to lose that game. And you're going to want to package some of them up for you, Gary Trent or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That type of level player. Yeah, so that's kind of what it is, man. I'm trying to play devil's advocate with my own way of looking at things, to where I'm always lean toward keeping the young guys, but sometimes young guys don't pan out, and they're just as bad as some of these 12-year vets that are worn out and washed up. Bad is bad. It's just one side of the seesaw or the other. You know what I mean? To try to find a perfect medium is, I think, what the Lakers probably should be looking for. And that's the tough part, man. You guys see what Scottie Pippen Jr. did today? Triple-double, getting his team to the Summer League finals with the Memphis Grizzlies. I really think we made a mistake letting that kid go, and part of the thing is to make sure you choose the right ones to hold on to versus the ones you let walk out the door. Scottie Pippen Jr. was not the one to let walk out the door. He wasn't. So that's just something we're going to have to deal with and do a better job on from here. And I got a feeling we're going to make that same mistake with our next young player that we move on from. They're going to be very good when they get where they're going. So that's something that needed to be said, in my opinion. Of course, we talked about the Summer League and the guy that came out of nowhere yesterday with the no turnovers, 10 assists, 11 rebounds, 3 steals. We got to keep finding guys like that and incorporate them into what we do. Try to turn something little into something, and that overall increases our asset class, and then we can afford to package this guy and 2 other people just like him and maybe send them out. Or you don't have to. Maybe you keep them and they'll do the job. But we got to keep finding stuff like this. So I trust our scouts, and I love that they've been doing a good job. And we found some guys. I don't know if we can bring them all up into our preseason roster or invite them all to camp. But our G League team should be better for not letting some of these guys go. So that's what I think, man. Some of them dudes in the Summer League probably should, Olivari, the guy that we're talking about from yesterday, whose name I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Grayson something. But he went crazy yesterday. He should probably be on our G League from here on out. Definitely some of the guys that are on the two-way, I don't need to mention their name, Henson, Torrey, they're going to be there. But that's really what it's about, is developing our young players and undrafted guys, and getting them to a space where they can actually be used in the market to get better as a unit. And so that's a thought, man. That's a thought. I don't doubt we could use some role players, and I don't doubt they're probably more expensive than we should probably be wanting to pay for them. But if we start the season and try to develop some guys, maybe we can try to move some things that maybe we choose to move in that way. But you don't want to give your young players away. That's what I always say about Jalen Hood-Schifino. We drafted him 17. His upside is still solid starter point guard. I do not think we should be moving him at this stage when he's worth so little. You're giving him away to a team that probably will get more out of him than you were able to or definitely get more out of them than you were able to because you didn't use them. So these are the type of things that we're thinking about, man. It's the off season. It's a stretch to try to find content in regards to the Lakers, but at the end of the day, for me, it's just about adjusting my mind based on what it is I just seen, and I'm a little concerned that just like last year, we have too many young players relying upon one another. That's my concern. I think JJ will probably be a better mind to have coaching the team. I think that's not a stretch. So hopefully that translates to some really good things. But because he's new at what he's doing, they're new at what they're doing, it's just not the greatest thing for our timeline. It really isn't. And if we don't care about our timeline, are they high enough upside youngsters to be excited about what this team looks like when Bron and AD are gone? That's the question they're going to have to answer, and I don't think the answer is yes. I really don't. They're good role-playing youngsters. None of them are really stars. So that's really the thought, man. I just don't know what the upside is on everybody we have. Being able to make us even remotely decent upon AD and Bron leaving. But one thing's for certain, if you give them away now, you're giving them away dirt cheap price, and that's not something a team that doesn't have a lot of value can afford to do. So that's pretty much what I got to say. It's time to get a meal. My name is BDO44. I thank you all for watching.